Broads Media.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome on into Sports Talk with Broads. Dave Dombrowski does everything. Dave Dombrowski doesn't sleep. All he does is add to the bullpen. Hello, Soto. Hello, Strom. Hello, Kimbrel. Hello, other minor moves like Marte, which we will get into. It's absurd how we look at last year's roster and you flip some of the young kids that have a little bit of intrigue because you went on a nice run and they helped out in doses, and other teams are like, wow, hold on a second. Is there something to Nick Maton? Is there something to Matt Vierling? While Dave Dombrowski goes, yeah, that's cute. You can have Maton because we're going to add Trey Turner. This is what good organizations do. And I think you need to get accustomed to it because there's a man in charge who just gets the damn game. When you make a World Series run and a very, very small role player like Nick Maton and Matt Vierling do whatever it is that they do, and other teams are like, oh, that's nice. You get rid of those guys for a player like Soto in your pen who throws heat. You get another lefty who's basically a Jose Alvarado 2.0. You work with it a little bit because here's the thing. Jose Alvarado, his career numbers when it comes to the walk rate is 13.6, which is very, very high, right? But Alvarado cut his walk rate to 9.4 after returning to the majors after the AAA stint. Once again, we need to get accustomed to realizing that the Phillies are ran very well now. You can help and change players, and they could be better. Look at what happened out in center field. The Angels, I don't know what Marsh is. Well, I think we could do something with him. There was a time where Brandon Marsh gave you something way better than what he was doing out in L.A. at the Dish because Dave Dombrowski said, there's something in that swing that we're going to tweak. We're going to get it out of him. Let's make the move. And by the way, he's here for a long period of time. This is something else that's beautiful about what he's doing. Soto is here through 2025. Sosa is a guy that has some years with arbitration. Brandon Marsh is going to be here for a nice chunk of change or a nice period of time as well. This is beautiful. This is savage. This is what somebody with a brain does. So my point is, Kimbrel, we saw it with Alvarado. They're going to try and do something similar with Soto because in his last 2 years, his walk rate is 13.7, which is 0.1 higher than what the career is for Alvarado. But the 9.4 that they cut it to after AAA, you saw how much of a difference that really was. It's like I'm in all, right? Knabel's not here. Familia's not here. Robertson's not here. Hand's not here. Here's what you do have, though. You lose that bullpen, which some guys weren't really good, Familia being one of them. Hand was really up and down. His ERA told a different story than reality. Knabel, I just thought he wasn't healthy. But that's the thing. It's not as if every guy Dave Dombrowski makes a move for is going to be exceptional. It's going to be insane. Because that's just not how bullpen pieces work. But if you got a lot of guys that can throw a lot of heat, and a lot of guys that have the upside, you hit on a certain percentage of them, and then you're good to go. Sir Anthony Dominguez, he could save a baseball game. Soto, he could save a baseball game. Alvarado, he could save a baseball game. Kimbrel, I know the role early on isn't to do it, and I don't know exactly what he is, but heading into the season, if the role is going to be 6th, 7th inning, well, it's a totally different beast. You're not demanding him to grab the ball in the 9th, and he knows that. And once again, I think that there's things that they can do to help him out, to get him back on track. And you don't need him to be the shutdown dude. You don't need him to be that automatic, here we go, it's the 9th, go to Kimbrel. You got plenty of options. And you still have Brogdon. You still have Bellotti. You picked up Strom. You have Nick Nelson. What a ridiculous thing to say. 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 A few years back, we watched the worst bullpen in the history of the game, followed up by another disastrous season. You add Trey Turner to a World Series roster, and you bring in this type of talent in the back end? You watched what Houston was capable of doing. Dave Dombrowski said, we need something like that. By the way, let's go get a Taiwan Walker. By the way, let's get the best shortstop that's available in the market. Alec Boehm is another example, by the way, of a dude who needed to be sent down to rejuvenate his entire game, both sides of the plate. Which, hell, it's hard enough to do one. Now you're doing it on both sides. I'm still not satisfied to the full capability of him and his skill set, but still way better than whatever we saw 2 years ago. I never thought we'd see the day, but we are at a day where I can do the put the feet up and relax in regards to the Philadelphia Phillies in the offseason. But I have to admit, I'm a little surprised by the reaction to Nick Maton and Matt Vierling, because you would think that they were all-star superstars and they're getting a $400 million contract and you let them go. You would think that this is what the Boston Red Sox are going through, letting go of Bogarts. Now, they tied up Rafael Devers, but it was a bit messy. It was sticky there at Fenway Park for a while, and they're still not pumped with what's going on. My point is, when you saw those guys in the deal, you can't give up Nick Maton. What? Yes, you can. Yes, you can. There is a cycle when you are a franchise that people respect. And you flip guys. You flip utility players. Where's Nick Maton going to play? There's injuries that happen throughout the regular season. We saw that last year, no doubt about it. But if you don't trust Dave, and right now you have your whole infield intact, Stott every day at second, Trey Turner at short, Boehm at third, Sosa as your utility man, and there's some other things that you can do. But at the end of the day, look, Nick Maton's a nice little player. 250, energizer, energy guy, right? You don't have the spot to play him. And you give up that for someone who could throw the baseball as hard as Soto can. The guy's been an all-star for 2 straight seasons. There's up and downs involved, trust me. One of my buddies, big Detroit Tigers fan. Well, maybe I should say big Detroit sports fan. I don't know how much you can get involved with the Tigers. And he goes, yeah? Good luck. He's up and down. I said, yeah, welcome to Major League Baseball relief pitching. If you've watched what the Phillies were prior to last season, the pen made me vomit. This is the type of stuff that it takes. I'm sure you all have seen the stats to this point, but Alvarado and Soto combined for 81% of 100-mile-per-hour pitches thrown by lefties. You got some nice lefty options, you think? It's incredible what he's doing. And there's a lot of respected people out there. Now, take it for what it is, because there's a lot of respected people out there saying Joe Girardi isn't going to make a difference to the change in Philadelphia. And then Rob Thompson started doing his thing, and that same individual, you all know who I'm talking about, wrote a fugazi article, in my opinion. Not really. He claimed he was apologizing for what he said, but he kind of threw out numbers to say, well, this is why I said it. But regardless, you could say, like, look, the manager in baseball, we didn't think it would go on a 500% win percentage that Rob Thompson went. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. Where I wanted to go with that is, the classic Broads forgets his train of thought. I have no idea where I wanted to go. Yeah, it's disappointing. At times, you'd think I'd be better at this by now. We were talking about lefties, Dave Dombrowski. I got nothing. Literally nothing. Man, this pisses me off. It seriously does happen way too much. Anyway, good organizations flip young players. I think this was like 2 topics ago. Maybe it was my point. I don't even know. Good organizations flip players. People thought that Nick Maton and Matt Vierling were some studs. Who's going to play center field? Brandon Marsh. Brandon Marsh is going to play center field. That's the goal. Now, I want to look up Brandon Marsh's splits from last year. And I also, it's funny, I was reading on The Athletic, the Tigers beat reporter talking about Matt Vierling and the exit velocity and this and that. And like, can you get it? Can you get more out of them and all this stuff and the way that they're trying to spin, which is what we all do, right? We're talking about Soto a certain type of way. We're going to probably talk about Cody Clemens a certain type of way. You're always talking about the positives on what you acquire. Yeah, I think Nick Maton has a higher upside than Matt Vierling does at this point. Nick Maton, he had some pop. When he got a hold of one, you go, holy shit, did he drive that one out of the ballpark? I like Nick Maton for what it is. But you give up a Nick Maton for someone that's got a 100-mile-per-hour left-handed fastball that can cruise by you. So last year is all I really care about with the Phillies for him. And in the totality of it all, he hit right-handers 262, and against lefties, he hit 188. This is Brandon Marsh, but that's his entire year of 2022, and that doesn't separate what he did with the Phillies. Now, if you look at the first half and the second half, he hit 280 in the second half, and he hit 225 in the first half. There's something that's going to take a bit of time with Brandon Marsh, but this whole, you need a platoon out in center field. You don't need a platoon out in center field. And yes, while Bryce Harper is not going to start the season ready to rock and playing the field, and who knows when we are going to see him in the field, you have Kyle Schwarber playing left. You have Brandon Marsh playing center, Nick Castellanos playing right field, and you can make something work if need be, makeshift-wise, until you do get Bryce Harper back. And if you don't trust the people who have the power to do so at this rate, I can't believe that Matt Vierling is going to be the difference in you being excited of this or not. There's plenty of things that you'll be able to find to do if need be. But this lineup is scary. And this bullpen has the potential to be scary. We know what Zach Wheeler can do. We know what Aaron Nola did last season. He got burnt out by the end. But I think you need to learn what that journey is like as a pitcher. And then with the expectations as high as it is right now, you have to prepare your body to make it to that length. Because if you're ever going to want to win the championship, you need to get there. I don't know what's happening right now in New York with Carlos Correa and the whole situation with the physical and whatnot. It's a mess. I know Scott Boras is working the media big time. Oh, here comes another team. And then a week and a half later, oh, here comes the Minnesota Twins to try and put pressure on Steve Cohen to get something done. I don't know. I do know the Phillies in the regular season have a lot to prove to me because last year they couldn't even beat the Mets in a series at all. That needs to change. The expectation is you go win a damn division. I'm not going to be ho-hum through the regular season, even though they did what they did last year, being a final wild card spot. I'm sorry, I have to demand more where you have to win the division. I don't want to have to play that first series because we talk about breaking down Aaron Nola. We talk about Zach Wheeler hitting a wall and needing a long period of rest before he could take his next start in the playoffs. If you don't have to play that first round, that changes literally everything. That gives them a totally different body spot, when it gets to the end. So that matters to me. They got a lot to prove to me within the regular season. I'm not going to be ho-hum, who cares, because what they did last year. I'm still going to demand, as you should. But this team, Taijuan Walker, Ranger, Suarez. How about the kids? when Andrew Painter gets a nod. You know, I'm weirdly even excited to see what Bailey Falter can do. How about that? Give a nice round of applause to Bailey Falter for me feeling a certain type of way about what he can do. Give me a little spot start here, a little spot start there. Not as much for the Christopher Sanchez of the world. You know what we can probably put the rest, though, at this point? The whole Rhys Hoskins, what are you going to do? You got the year of arbitration. You're going to run with it, and you're going to try and run it back. And that doesn't bother me as much as it bothers others. There's going to be times where we're doing the Phillies post-game show, and I'm disgusted with an error. There's going to be times where he doesn't know which way to put his feet when he's putting his feet on the bag trying to catch a damn ball over at first for a basic just throw out, right? But if that comes with 30 home runs, if that comes with 33 home runs, now we're talking. I'm seeing some World Baseball Classic stuff pop up on my Twitter feed and whatnot. I'm going to tell you what, I am so pumped for baseball. We have the Eagles with a bye, ready to go for a postseason run, which clearly I am ready for too. But I sit here as Dave Dombrowski pushes buttons, and as soon as something Phillies pops up, I go into a totally different mode. Like, oh, man, I need it. Spring training. You know, I don't know what's going to happen, but it's possible I make a trip down to spring training, which I've never been before. Yeah, I know. We did get a little bad news Phillies related. Not so much Phillies, but Phillies reporting. Jim Salisbury hung him up. Dude, I don't know what Phillies baseball is without Jim Salisbury. That's going to be a big part of what I know Phillies baseball is not being there this year. It's going to be weird. It's going to be a little different. You get your little Phillies pregame live in. Let's check out what Jim Salisbury has to say down at the stadium. Jim, hey, guys, what's going on? Bryce Harper's getting ready to return. We see him throwing the baseball. I need that. So, congratulations, Jim, on the hell of a career. He said he did it himself. It was his decision, you know, but just crazy. Anyway, I won Phillies baseball in my life. That was Brandon Marsh. The Marte thing. There was a signing, another relief pitcher. And the way that I'm reading it here, it looks like they have the idea of him helping out in short stints. He had a 5.44 ERA with a 20.6% strikeout rate and a 10.3% walk rate in 48 innings with the San Francisco Giants last year. But down the stretch with a 1.93 ERA in his final 8 outings. Take that for what it is. Started out in AAA. He had a 3.16 ERA in 25 appearances. And he was used primarily in the 7th and 8th innings. This is me just kind of reading up on what they project Marte to be. The Phillies see Marte as a pitcher who can come up and help in short stints. They like his velocity. His fastball ranks in the 94th percentile in baseball, but they also like the rest of his repertoire, particularly his slider. Knowing how last year went with a lot of the cutters that were used, the Alvarado cutter. Here I am closing my eyes right now, and I'm picturing. You know what I did after watching the Phillies yearbook, which hit some strings, went back and watched some of those electric game highlights. JT Real Muto with the inside the park home run. Oh, my God. I was there for that game. The whole place was, I felt as if the stadium was moving. I remember it got so hectic. I went with my one buddy, shout out Dean, for the free ticket. He's like, yo, dude, you want to go to the Phils tomorrow? Yeah. So here we are, sitting next to the Braves family to our left. They had the whole section all blocked off for them. The place was going bonkers. I had to sit down after 35 seconds of jumping because I thought I was going to faint. I couldn't believe what I saw. I still can't even process what that run was. And the ironic part is, it's just a little bizarre. To go back to the Eagles for a half a second. So a lot of fans right now really, really scared. Really, really upset with play calling in Week 18. They're 14-3, but they don't think they could do anything well. They're scared and ready to be pissed off that the Eagles are going to lose. Yet when the Phillies lost in the World Series, it was, that was fun. That was a great time. I don't understand. It just doesn't add up to me. I'm pissed. Most people are pissed that they lost in the game where they got no hits. I'm more pissed off with Game 5 because they had so many chances to score and they didn't. Okay, so what? So what? You got no hit. And I'm saying that somewhat sarcastically. Obviously, I get it's a huge deal. It doesn't happen, and it's ridiculous to get no hit in the World Series game. But whatever, it happened. You had a chance in Game 5 to punch them back in the mouth and then look at Houston going back to Houston with a totally different mindset. They couldn't do it. I don't know when you're going to get back. So I can't just say ho-hum. Now, they put themselves in a great position to, which puts a smile on my face. It's just very difficult. I'm not doubting that they can. It's just hard. It's a hard thing to do. So when you lose that and let that slip, I'm upset about it. But this fear level of the Eagles, it just doesn't match. And then you say, well, one team's favored to do it and the other team wasn't. So one was enjoyable because you didn't have the Well, then we need to get in a position where we're comfortable with being the team. There's 50,000 reasons why the Eagles can win, 3 reasons why they can lose. We're focusing on the 3 reasons why they can lose instead of the 50,000 on why they can win. I don't know. Anyway. Getting sidetracked again. What do you know? Oh, surprise, surprise. Rob Thompson. Remember when Rob Thompson was doing some media stuff and he goes, yeah, I'm not going to be there. We got some signings to do down at winter meetings. All business, man. No joke. Eye on the prize. They're hungry. And it feels good as a fan knowing that the people who are in charge want it just as badly as you do. And maybe a part of it is having to match Steve Cohen, knowing that he's going to be spending at a wild rate, knowing he's going to be all over the map, bringing in guys left and right. What the hell is a luxury tax? Oh, what's that? I got to spend 90% on the dollar? You signed David Robertson for $10 million? What's that? It's really $19 million because I go $9 million in taxes? I don't care. There's a part of that I think is even pushing John Middleton and Dave Dombrowski over the edge a little bit more, which is fine for me. The fact that they're willing to do it is important. And Middleton's been clear. He does want it. But there's a big difference between hanging your hat on a Matt Klentak era and saying you want to win. Well, not really. You don't really want to. I know you do, but you don't. You're not. I know you do, but your actions aren't meeting your words. Keeping Klentak and McPhail when all they do is fail. How badly do you want it? Saying, Dave, come on here, man. I know Nashville, whatever you're working on. No. Let's go. Let's bring it to South Philadelphia. This is saying a lot because of the minds here right now in Philly. Howie's controversial, but most people know that he's good at what he does. Daryl Morey's controversial. I don't think he gets as much love. Believe it or not, he might not get as much respect as he deserves. I don't know. It's fascinating to think on where the fans feel about who's in charge here. You know, Chuck Fletcher's all the way at the bottom. Then it's probably Daryl Morey. Then it's Howie Roseman. Dave Dombrowski. And I'm saying this in a positive thing, and not to knock Howie or Daryl Morey. This is to show you how smart he really is. He might be the sharpest GM you have, or president of baseball operations. That's saying a lot with Howie Roseman and with Daryl Morey in town. And I remember when he got hired, I had some questions. I didn't know exactly how it would play out. Older guy, prospects, but his track record said World Series champion. His track record said I could take the Detroit Tigers and make them legitimate for a long period of time. When I leave, it might be ugly. And you know what? At this rate, there's so much context involved because this isn't even the conversation for today. I'm just saying, if he builds this, and as he's building this, he's making trades with young, flashy prospects to go all in, and that happens to leave you dry with the pool of prospects by the end of it, I don't care. Because this right here is what it's all about, what we saw last season, and then moves after that. And I'm not saying Maytown and Veerling are those level of players. I'm talking more if you have Bryson Stotts or Alec Boehm in the minors right now, and you move them to go get another player that could really impact you. Anyway, I miss talking baseball. We're getting closer. Before you know it, we'll have pitchers and catchers. We'll have some spring training stuff. So before you know it, it'll be here. On a level of 1 to 10, how excited am I? 960. I'm ready. This bullpen's going to be nuts. This lineup's going to be nuts. I kind of wanted to talk about the lineup at one point. But you know what? Do we save that for a rainy day? All I'm letting you know is Kyle Schwarber should lead off. And we'll end it there. Thank you guys so much for kicking it with me. I'll catch you guys all on the next one.